The growing threats of political violence across the globe is becoming a major concern, especially in Asia. The recent stabbing of South Korea's main opposition leader, Lee Jae-Myung on January 2, 2024, has left many in shock. Political violence is not a new concept, but its global rise, particularly in Asia, has caught everyone's attention. Historically fueled by ideological differences, these conflicts are now intertwined with economic and social issues. South Korea has recently seen an uptick in such violence. A democratic nation, it's struggling to uphold its values amidst this crisis. The question that arises is, why South Korea, and why now? Political violence is not just restricted to wars or terrorism. It also signifies the use of force to intimidate or harm political opponents. This is what we're witnessing in South Korea. The violence has its roots in deep-seated economic grievances. As the rich get richer, the poor are left behind. This economic disparity sparks discontent. Unemployment and poverty have led to widespread dissatisfaction. The average worker is struggling to make ends meet, while corporations continue to amass wealth. This dissatisfaction often channels itself into political violence. It becomes a means of expressing frustration and desperation. Actions such as rioting, arson, and assault become commonplace. But why is this happening more in Asia, particularly South Korea? The answer lies in the rapid rate of development and the inability of society to keep pace. As countries modernize, traditional values conflict with new ones. This clash often results in violent upheaval. Similarly, technological advancements have played a significant role. The internet and social media have made it easier to mobilize and organize protests. In South Korea, the youth have been instrumental in these protests. They use social media to spread their message and rally support. The government's response to these protests has often been heavy-handed, further fueling the fire. The use of force to suppress dissent has only increased resentment. You may ask, what are the implications of this growing political violence? Well, for one, it threatens democratic values and institutions. Political violence undermines the rule of law. It erodes trust in government, instigating further conflict. Moreover, it disrupts economic activity and hampers economic growth. Political violence also takes a toll on society by breathing division and tearing the social fabric of any nation apart. Fortunately, countries like South Korea have shown resilience in the face of such adversity. Despite the violence, South Koreans continue to participate in the democratic process. Voting rates remain high, reflecting their faith in democracy. Nonviolent protests have also become more prevalent. These peaceful demonstrations reflect a desire for change without resorting to violence. International organizations are playing a crucial role as well. They provide support and resources to combat political violence. Education and awareness about political violence is also increasing. Many are realizing that violence is not the answer to political grievances. There's a growing emphasis on dialogue and negotiation. Resolving issues peacefully has become the preferred approach. For South Korea, it's been a long and arduous journey. The country has had to grapple with political violence while also fostering economic growth. It's a complex issue with no easy solutions. However, acknowledging the problem is the first step towards finding a resolution. As we delve deeper into this issue, it becomes clear that political violence is not just a South Korean or Asian problem. It's a global issue that requires international cooperation. It's not just up to governments to address this issue. Ordinary citizens, like you and me, also have a role to play. We need to stand against political violence in all its forms. Advocating for peace and dialogue is the first step towards achieving this. In conclusion, political violence is a growing threat. But it's also an issue that we can collectively tackle. Through understanding, dialogue, and cooperation, we can mitigate this threat. The future may be uncertain, but together, we can make it brighter. So, let's stand together against political violence. Let's build a world where peace and democracy are not just ideals, but realities. Thank you for joining me in examining this critical issue. Let's continue this conversation, for it is through dialogue that we can truly make a difference.